You know, Ron, I'm glad you're here. I've been meaning to tell you something.
What's that, Asher?
Last night, I had a dream. You were Time Magazine's Man of the Year for being the greatest godfather of college golf.
Well, number one, Asher, you got to stop dreaming about me. But, number two, I'm just glad that finally that the world is seeing who I really am. Good for Time Magazine.
Hello, golf fans, and welcome back to Golfweek TV's Par 5. I'm Asher Wildman on the road at the U.S. Collegiate with the man who needs no introduction, Ron Balicki. Hello, Ron.
Asher, it's good to be with you again.
Always a pleasure to be with you. So we start off today's show talking about the USC Trojans, who are the U.S. Collegiate Tournament champions.
Great tournament for them, and this is a tournament they really needed to win because of the strength of field here. This year they won their own tournament, which is good, but it's their home tournament. Now they come out here on the East Coast. They win against probably one of the best fields in college golf, outside of the NCAA. I think they proved something. I think they proved that come next May or this coming May, they're going to be a contender for that national title.
Ron, the most important part about their victory was the fact that it wasn't just Jamie Lovemark. This was a team effort.
Well,
1 through 5, every single guy contributed this week, and that is what a national championship team is all about. You have to have a 1 through 5 guy.
Absolutely, but also give Jamie credit. I
Yep.
think he shot 6 under the last day. And was again the leader, as he's supposed to be, as you need to win a national championship. But you're also right. The other guys contributed, and you have to have that if you're going to win a national championship. And they showed that they could do that.
All right, well, 2 other teams we were talking about possibly contending for that national championship this year were the Georgia Bulldogs and the Charlotte 49ers. And, Ron, they both finished 9th and 10th, respectively. What do we get out of that?
Well, I think, number one, when you stop and think about that, when you look at this field, and they have 9 of the top 11 teams, somebody's got to finish kind of like toward the bottom. No, Georgia and Charlotte did not play as well as they're capable of playing. There's no question about it. But they did play against a great field, and you know what? Probably for both of them, this is probably a great wake-up call for them to realize, hey, listen, we have to work. We have to step up our game if we're going to compete with the top teams in the country and we're going to compete for a national title.
I'm glad you mentioned that wake-up call because, I was on that Charlotte bandwagon really early this year, especially when they started off the season with 3 tournament victories. But now they're starting to come back down to life a little bit. I think they got off to a great start, but now they've kind of just started to flatline a little bit, and Jamie Green's got to figure out what it is that's going on because these guys got to get that spark in them again.
Well, they definitely do, without a doubt. And in a sense, Georgia, too.
They're fine. Georgia's fine.
Well, I know they're fine, and they're definitely going to get it back. And like I said, but this is a good wake-up call for them because, now they know, hey, we just can't go in there and say we're Georgia.
Yeah.
Give me the trophy. And I think they will get it back. And, Georgia's going to be right in there, come NCAA time at Purdue.
Yeah.
Okay, Asher, let me just ask you this. Who would you say is the most underrated player, out in college golf this year?
Well, Ron, I think we spent so much time talking about the Georgia boys, the Alabama boys, the USC guy, Jamie Lovemark, UCLA's Kevin Chappell. But you know something? How about the guy from Georgia State? Now, granted, if anyone out there can name him, congratulations, but Joel Solheim. I mean, this guy, I can't remember the last time he didn't finish in the top 10. He's got multiple tournament victories. He comes to play, and unfortunately, you don't know about him because when the winning teams are coming in on 18, his team's coming in on 9.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. And you know what? And I agree with you with Joel. I've actually watched Joel play. I've been to the last 3 tournaments that Georgia State has played in, and he's finished first, second, and he finished 4th, here this week. This guy is a player. He can play, and he doesn't get the recognition. I think he was a second-team All-American last year, but again, it's like you said, because his team isn't doing as well, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle,
yeah.
and especially at these tournaments when everyone's concentrating on the top 3 teams who, obviously, if you're one of the top 3 teams, you got some good individuals in the race, and Joel's out on a different 9 or playing real early, but he is a player. There's no question about it.
He's just as good off the tee as anybody out there. He's just as good with his irons, and his putting is pretty darn good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is a complete package. I mean, this guy, he's a senior this year. He's from Sweden. He's also, he's ready to do what he has to do for the rest of his career in college. He's ready to get onto the pro tour or into the pros, and I think he's going to do real well in the pros.
Yeah.
Okay, and kind of on that same note, Asher, who would you say? We're here this week, and Trent Leon, finally got his first college win. So many people, it was long overdue. For you, this year, we'll just talk about this year. Who's the best player this year who hasn't won yet?
You know, there's quite a few interesting names out there, but I got to go with Billy Horschel, the Florida Gator. Here's a guy, he was a Walker Cupper, he was a Palmer Cupper, he was you name him Cupper. I mean, this is all-American Billy Horschel we're talking about, and yet something's just not right with that Florida Gator, and he's an outstanding player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Billy, come on. We got to get you a tournament title. You're a top 20 player. You've actually dropped in the rankings. Is that what you were telling me earlier,
yeah.
Ron? He went from top 10. Now he's hanging around the low 20s.
Yeah.
Billy Horschel's got to get that game going, especially for Florida to go anywhere.
He's a much better player than that. I mean, you know, from what he is, and like even in this last tournament this week at the Hootie, he was last on their team, and that's not going to cut it because you're right, he is too good of a player. But I'm going to throw another guy out at you, Michael Thompson from Alabama. You know, I mean, here's a guy, runner-up at the USAM. I mean, I think he's ranked second in our rankings. He's had top 5 finishes all over the place. This guy is talent from the get-go, and he hasn't won yet. And he's going to win. And I'm still saying he may be saving the best for last, and we may see that win come at Purdue.
How about this one, Ron? Michael This Close Thompson. What do you think? Can I trademark that? Michael This Close Thompson.
He's going to do it. You just watch. He's going to do it.
Fifth and final topic, Ron. We got 4 teams to talk about: Texas Longhorns, East Tennessee State, Georgia State, and Coastal Carolina. 3 of those 4 schools should win their conference tournaments, Texas being the odd man out because they're in a very competitive Big 12. But if these 4 schools don't win that conference tournament, they're not going to postseason play.
It could be close. I won't say they're not going.
East Tennessee State's
I think East Tennessee State still would have a pretty good chance. Texas would be really borderline.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say that Coastal, definitely has to win.
Yeah.
Their conference. Georgia State, I think, definitely is going to have to win their conference. And however you want to put it, I think they are fortunate enough that their conference is in that strong a golf conference that they can do it. And I mean, and they know that. I mean, you talk to the guys at Georgia State, you talk to Matt Clark, and you talk to Joel, and they know that their only hope is to win their conference. And I think they feel confident going in that they could do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Texas, the Big 12.
They finished, 13th out of 15 here at the U.S. Collegiate?
I think 14th out of 15.
That's an
so, which puts them below that 500 mark,
yeah.
Number one. Now, they do have a tournament coming up that they host, but, still, and to win the Big 12 with Oklahoma State and Texas A&M, and, it's going to be tough to do that. And if they do that, more power to them. They deserve to go. So it's going to be interesting to see, with those 4 teams and probably a number of other teams.
The pressure will be on, and a team's bubble just might burst.
That's absolutely right.
All right. Well, for Ron Balicki, I'm Asher Wildman. Thanks so much for watching Golfweek TV's Par 5.